All right, y'all, I got to give you updates on what's going on in Minnesota. It is not good. It is not good. You basically have ICE and federal officials acting as an occupying army and terrorizing the people of Minneapolis. And now Trump is openly threatening invoking the Insurrection Act. And in fact, I believe certain troops have been put on notice, on standby, to potentially be sent in there. So this is not good. Let me start with a little bit of good news, and then I'll give you all the updates on the ground. So look at this. A federal judge in Minnesota has just ordered restrictions on ICE's tactics against protesters, including stopping cars that aren't obstructing them. Federal agents are hereby halted from retaliating against persons who are engaging in peaceful and unobstructive protest activity, including observing the activities of Operation Metro Surge. So in other words, if they're following you, you can't say shit, you can't do shit. They're well within their legal rights to follow you and record you. Arresting or detaining persons who are engaging in peaceful and unobstructive protest activity, including observing the activities of Operation Metro Surge in retaliation for their protected conduct and absent a showing of probable cause or reasonable suspicion that the person has committed a crime or is obstructing or interfering with the activities of covered federal officers, of using pepper spray or similar non-lethal munitions and crowd dispersal tools against persons who are engaging in peaceful and unobstructive protest activity, including observing the activities of Operation Metro Surge in retaliation for their protected conduct. So they're saying you can't use the tear gas, you can't use the pepper spray and stuff like that. And stopping or detaining drivers and passengers in vehicles where there is no reasonable articulable suspicion that they are forcibly obstructing or interfering with covered federal agents or otherwise violating that part of the law. The act of safely following covered federal agents at an appropriate distance does not by itself create reasonable suspicion to justify a vehicle stop. So all this is great news. Will they actually listen? That's the open question, because this regime has blown off court orders time and time again in the past. The other thing is, and I believe we'll get to this, there's a quota. I believe the Wall Street Journal reported that ICE has a quota when it comes to arrests. So you might be, watching how they act, how they're rounding up innocent civilians. You have people saying, well, hold on, I'm an American citizen. I have my papers right here. And they go, I don't care. I'm arresting you. Well, come to find out, there's a quota for arrests. And if they hit the quota, they get bonuses like cash and stuff like that. And so that's why they're like, they're terrorizing people and they're arresting whoever for whatever reason or non-reason they want. So this is totally, totally unhinged. Let's look at this. This is what the people of Minnesota are hearing in the dead of night when ICE tries to sneak up on them while they're sleeping. This woman screams, they're here, close your doors, get inside, lock your doors, stay safe. This woman stays up to warn her neighbors. You know what this reminds me of? And you're about to see this right now. What this reminds me of is The Wire. When Omar walks down the street and they go, Omar's coming, and then people like run inside and they go and they warn people. Like, that's what this looks like. This is absolutely chilling. Watch this.
Like, fuck all of y'all that voted for this. Like, what is wrong with y'all? My God. Jesus.
Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino was found by a federal judge to have been evasive, not credible, and was outright lying at times when questioned under oath about how agents use force against the public. So now the head of the Border Patrol, who's also on the ground there, more extreme even than ICE, this guy who, by the way, literally dresses like a Nazi on purpose. Let me repeat that. He dresses like a Nazi on purpose. This guy was found to just be fucking totally making shit up in court. That's who we're dealing with here. Here's a local news report on the raid in St. Paul where agents used an invalid warrant, detained a 12-year-old boy, and later transferred him to an ICE detention center in Texas, separating him from his family. Here we go.
Neighbors in St. Paul are concerned after they say federal agents raided a home on their street without a warrant and took away 6 people.
They say agents even hauled off a 12-year-old boy who is now at an immigration center in Texas. Fox 9's Mike Manzotti is live in St. Paul tonight. Right, Mike, several cameras inside the home captured what happened.
Yeah, agents stormed in and then searched the house room by room. The neighbors say that the agents told them it had something to do with a narcotics investigation, but the neighbors are suspicious because of something caught on camera just moments before that raid.
They started banging the door, kicked the door in.
This video shows the moment federal agents stormed into a house in St. Paul on Thursday. It happened on Nevada Avenue East around 5 o'clock. Neighbor Jeffrey Jones watched it all unfold.
It's different when it hits so close to home, right next door to you, and actually having a relationship with these people.
In the video, you see a woman holding an infant. Neighbors say agents let her and the baby stay, but they took everyone else, including a 12-year-old boy.
She asked for the warrant. They said they had one, but they never showed it to her.
By the way, okay, super important, guys. She asked for a warrant. They say they have it. They lie all the time. So you need to say, let me see the warrant, and it's got to be a judicial warrant, not an administrative warrant. And what they're doing is they're lying, and they say they have a warrant, but it's an administrative warrant. That's not valid. It's got to be a judicial warrant signed by a judge.
Francis Clatworthy tried to pick up the boy from a Twin Cities federal building on Friday, but had no luck.
They said that they sent him to San Antonio.
Neighbors say agents told them it was all part of a narcotics investigation and had nothing to do with immigration. But Sean Piet is suspicious because this video from his outdoor camera shows someone dropping off a package just minutes before the raid.
Federal agents inside were telling him there's drugs in it, and if no one inside at the time claimed that package, that they were going to take everybody in the house.
And one other thing struck.
Are you kidding me? So it looks like they planted drugs to then use ICE to go in there and just arrest everybody. Jesus Christ, man. I literally think all of this it goes back to the fact that there's a quota for arrests. I think it all goes back to that. I think it goes back to that and the fact that, like I said, we're dealing with white nationalists and Proud Boys here. And so they're just terrorizing innocent people.
Struck them as odd. This warrant from a state, not a federal court, showed up on the doorstep the day after the raid. But it does not look exactly like this sample warrant that a state court spokesman sent us. It doesn't have a case number or a file stamp.
Oh my God, they're faking warrants now? This country is straight barbecue chicken, dog. Holy shit.
And there's no record that agents ever filed it, though they do have 10 days to do that.
This morning they dropped it off here. The piece of paper that said that they had a warrant to search the house.
And she says the family came here from Venezuela 3 years ago and added that the adults all have work permits as well as real IDs. We, of course, reached out to federal officials for more information, but haven't heard back yet. We're live in St. Paul. Mike Manzoni.
Nasra Ahmed, 23 years old, was stopped by ICE in St. Paul while heading to pick up seizure and anxiety medication. She told agents she's a U.S. citizen born in Hennepin County, but was detained anyway and is now jailed without bail as her family fears for her health. And this is what we've seen so much of. They round up innocent people, they lock them up, the people beg and plead and say, look, I have this medical condition, I have that medical condition, I need this drug, I need that drug. If I don't get it, my life's in danger. And they don't care, and they don't do anything. This has happened time and time and time again. This is an absolute nightmare, and they need to get sued into oblivion for the way that they're treating people here. This is insane. This is fucking just primitive ass, savage, barbaric shit that we're looking at here, where people get denied medication they need in order to survive. Breaking, the Jonathan Ross cover-up is real. The Trump administration said ICE agent Jonathan Ross was hospitalized for internal bleeding after killing Renee Good. Yet reports show he stayed on the scene for 15 plus minutes and was only taken to a federal building, not a hospital. He only went to a federal building, not a hospital. By the way, it was CBS. They shopped around that fake news story, and they ended up giving it to CBS, where Barry Weiss insisted that it runs. There was internal bleeding by Jonathan Ross. First of all, internal bleeding, the most common version of it, is literally just a bruise. That's point number one. Point number two, I don't even believe he had a bruise. I think they're lying about that shit. I've seen the video from every which angle 1,000 times. That motherfucker's fine. He ain't never been better in his life. He's in perfect health. So, of course, the state propaganda outlet, CBS, is now doing the state propaganda that the regime wants, thinking it's gonna fucking fool anybody. It's not, okay? It is not even close. Unbelievable the way that they lie about this shit. My God. Reporting from the Wall Street Journal covers the ICE incentive structure. ICE agents get additional rewards based on their arrest, like I told you. Those rewards count even if the person is released without charges. That is one of the main reasons why you're seeing so many innocent people get rounded up. New, I'm told multiple ICE agents with rooms booked at the St. Paul downtown DoubleTree by Hilton received this notice today that their rooms are being canceled and the hotel will temporarily close due to heightened public safety concerns in St. Paul. I called the hotel and checked online, and they are indeed not taking any bookings right now. They referred me to other hotels. I'm told this also happened today at the Intercontinental St. Paul, with ICE agents with bookings there notified the hotel will be temporarily closing today due to the ongoing unrest in Minnesota. An agent who talked to the front desk manager there says he was told it was done to protect staff because they have been getting threats from unknown individuals for lodging DHS agents. So let me explain something to you guys. At first, there were rumblings of these hotels are just keeping out federal officials, where they made a decision like, look, this is more trouble than it's worth. We don't want to keep them here. It brings heat down on us. We don't feel safe. We don't want to do it, right? That's what we heard first. Of course, the federal government pushed back on that and said, how dare you? You can't not allow the federal agents to be there. We get to go wherever the fuck we want. You're discriminating against us, basically, was the argument from the feds. So then, what did the hotels do? As you can see, they went, okay, well, we'd rather shut down completely and not allow anybody to get a room than stay open and allow you to get rooms. So that's what's happening with a lot of these hotels. I'm going to say right now, I hope every single hotel in this region in Minnesota does the same goddamn thing. Shut down. Shut down completely. You need to make it practically impossible for these thugs to keep on terrorizing the people of Minnesota. You have to make it practically impossible. And guess what? This proves that the protesting is working. This proves that the anger is working. This proves that the pressure campaign is working. That if they feel like, hey, we got nowhere to go, no hotels are open, it makes it impossible for them to do this job of terrorizing people and being an occupying force. So it's actually phenomenal that they're shutting down these hotels. Guys, this is just, I can't. ICE deports 5-year-old U.S. citizen from Texas to Honduras, group says. They literally didn't even notify the family, y'all. They didn't notify CPS. They didn't notify the family. They kidnapped and human trafficked a 5-year-old U.S. citizen. If you take any position other than abolish ICE, you're a fucking wretched, repulsive, vile cretin. And I mean that. Democrat, Republican, I don't give a fuck. If you take any position other than abolish ICE, there's no hope for you. There's no hope for you. There's no hope. How do you look at this and say, oh yeah, this is salvageable? All we need is better training. Oh, really? You need better training? You want them to more humanely deport 5-year-old American citizens and rip them away from their family members? What the fuck is wrong with you people? Holy shit. A baby was hospitalized after being tear gassed by ICE. The family was not illegal and not even protesting, just driving home from their son's basketball game. This can't be reformed. Time to abolish ICE. That's exactly right. Here's the baby that was tear gassed. Unbelievable. By the way, Kristi Noem fucking doubled down on it, the smug, disgusting asshole that she is, the criminal that she is.
Acknowledge that. I want to talk to you about some of the incidents that the public has seen. There was a U.S. citizen, Aliyah Rahman, on her way to a medical appointment out in Minneapolis. She was dragged out of her car and detained. Video of her arrest was spreading on social media. There were allegations there of aggressive tactics.
Allegations of aggressive tactics. It's on right in front of your eyes right now. It's on TV. What are you talking about? Allegations? Ain't no allegations. What the fuck is this?
Seen other incidents, for example, out in Minneapolis, this family with 6 children, with one as young as 6 months old, got kind of caught in the incident as they were driving to basketball practice. Mm-hmm. The mother, Destiny Jackson, told CBS ICE agents stopped the car, told them to leave, but the agents were in the way, and they feared that they would have happened to them what happened to Renee Good. They didn't drive off. ICE released a canister of tear gas, and the mother described giving her infant CPR.
Oh my God. Those new Nuremberg trials cannot happen fast enough, y'all. It cannot. We can't go on like this. We literally can't go on like this.
That video there. Do any of these tactics seem to you heavy-handed?
No, but family was caught up in that situation because of violent protesters that were...
Oh my God. Oh, I think the Botox has infected her brain. I think her synapses are also frozen in place, just like her fucking cheeks are. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
Impeding law enforcement operations, and that family would have never been in that situation if those protesters had been acting peacefully, and law enforcement was able to do their job without being threatened.
They should never have a moment of peace. Kristi Noem, first of all, she should be in prison. Second of all, short of that, she should not be able to go anywhere ever again, ever, without 1,000 people protesting her.
So it's a terrible situation that family had to go through, and I hope it never happens again. But we need to remember that because the mayor and the governor have allowed this kind of violence to be perpetuated across Minneapolis is why there's other innocent people that are impacted throughout the city, but throughout their state as well.
Oh, was it the protesters who were tear gassing people? Is that what happened? Well, that's right. You're a lying scumbag.
And it doesn't have to be this way.
They could establish
targeted. A peaceful protest zone. They could enforce their laws. And if Governor Walz didn't recognize that what he is doing there is poor leadership, he wouldn't have put his National Guard on standby in order to...
This is why I'm so furious, is like, look, she's blaming what's his name? Jacob Frey and Tim Walz. And the fact of the matter is, both of them, like Jacob Frey came out and said, "Get the fuck out of my city, ICE." And then he said, well, yeah, I'm not actually going to order the police to arrest ICE agents when they commit crimes because they have more people and bigger guns. So, like, what am I supposed to do? You have Tim Walz who goes, I'm going to get the National Guard ready. Okay. Doesn't say who for. Doesn't say, oh, I'm going to send them in to protect the protesters. The implication is I'm going to get the National Guard ready to, again, quell the protests when he calls on them to do that. So here you have two Democrats at the state level who are being immensely weak and who are cucking themselves to the regime. And what does the regime say back to them? They're the problem. Look at them. They're being radical. They're being extreme. They're taking the side of the protester. They have shown immense restraint. I would not be this restrained. I would have said arrest every single fucking ICE agent that commits a crime. The police need to arrest them because the law applies to everybody. So they're bending over backwards for the regime, and the regime still spits in their eye. What did you learn, Jacob? What did you learn, Tim? What did you learn here?
And I'm hopeful that he does recognize that he needs to start working with us.
Are your agents going to comply?
I know the White House has asked him to.
Incredible. We're a long way from a civil war, says Robert Pape, but the Minnesota National Guard is now wearing bright green vests to distinguish from other agencies. This is now us versus them combat forces. Trump is taking the U.S. to a very dark place. Crucial that the Minnesota Guard and ICE do not clash. There's no way around. If the law were being enforced, ICE would be everybody's villain. From the National Guard to the police in Minnesota to any other agencies there that actually give a shit about following the law and having checks and balances and having a constitution, everybody would be targeting ICE directly, mass arresting them for their endless crimes, their endless violations of the Constitution. Ruben Gallego, who, by the way, is a very corporate Democrat, and he comes out and he says, reading the writing on the wall, we cannot vote for anything that actually adds more money and doesn't constrain ICE. We cannot keep funding this type of goon squad. That's exactly right. Good on him, because again, this guy's more of a centrist Democrat, and even he's realizing exactly what's going on here. ICE and Border Patrol agents have actually fired their guns at people in their cars at least 14 times since July. But so far, none of the targets have been convicted, and none of the federal agents have been charged with the crime. We found no examples of those agents being put on administrative leave or subjected to any internal discipline. That's what we're dealing with here. A totally rogue agency. Apparently, ICE just announced the 6th confirmed death of 2026. The 6th confirmed death. We are 19 days in to this year. There's 6 people dead. That's insane. In total, in Trump's regime, about 40 people have died in ICE custody. Evidence of one of them even being lynched. Yes, lynched. Hands tied, feet tied, found hanging in a cell. The second we saw that, they should have been abolished. By the way, I was reminded of a case I had forgotten about. ICE was literally sued for doing slavery. I'm not kidding. ICE was literally sued for doing slavery at one of their facilities. Never mind the lawsuits over the consistent, perpetual sexual assault that's happened at their facilities. This is what we're dealing with, y'all. Breaking: Native American citizens are being detained by ICE and sent to a camp, Fort Snelling, a former Native American concentration camp where Native women, children, and elders were once imprisoned in brutal conditions, where many died from disease, starvation, and exposure. The reason the Trump administration reportedly wants ICE to be able to operate on Native American lands, they're using this as a means to extort the tribes into cooperating. Sending Native people back to a former concentration camp isn't just cruel, it's a moral failure and unforgettable history repeating itself. By the way, this goes to show you that everything they stand for is a farce. A farce. Like, oh, we're only going to go after criminals. We're only going after undocumented immigrants who are also criminals. These people are literally more American than most Americans. Let's be serious. They were here first. They're the indigenous Americans. They're the Native Americans. This was their land before it was our land, right? And you're rounding them up? Immigration is rounding them up. That is not even close to legal. Not remotely legal. What are we doing here, man? What are we doing here? Oh my God. And then you got this video. This one is chilling. Listen to this back and forth. This is as dark as it gets.
Why are you asking me for my paperwork? Because of your accent. I still? You have an accent too. Where were you born, sir? Where were you born at? Put your hands behind your back.
Ramon Monero. Incredible. So you have a minority ICE agent with an accent saying, you have an accent. Where are your papers? Homie, you think you're on the team? You think you're on the team. There's going to come a time where you're not on the job, and they're going to fucking arrest your ass. In fact, there's already speculation that that's happened. There's been a rumor on TikTok that there was a Hispanic ICE agent who was off duty who was arrested. Now, I don't know if that instance is true because I haven't seen any other reporting on it, but if it hasn't happened already, it's going to happen at some point. Literally, where are your papers? And the person saying, where are your papers, has a fucking accent. I can't, bro. This is like Nick Fuentes, right? Fucking gay twink Mexican who's like, I'm a white supremacist. Hitler would fry your ass and then laugh about it, bro, and go have some bratwurst. What is wrong with you people? Oh my God. ICE detains father, leaves a 6-year-old daughter home alone. Holy cow.
He was taken. A lot of people were taken.
Including, they say, the father of a 6-year-old girl. The child left alone on the street until adults who saw her stepped in.
My sister said, do you need any help? And then she said, my dad was taken. Her dad was taken by immigration, and they left the little girl by herself. She was stranded. They took the dad and left the little girl. That was horrible for her to see that.
In the middle of the target zone sits St. Margaret Catholic Church, where that Sunday, the priests, during a packed mass, were warned of the raid happening at that moment and did what they could to protect those in their congregation.
The majority of our parishioners has papers. We have followed every legal steps. We have come to this country in the legal way, but we are afraid. We are afraid to be picked up, taken away, and being mistreated. And that's what is going on in our minds, and this is not only in our minds, but this is what is going on in this community.
Judy Ashworth has lived in Morristown for decades.
This whole ICE business, it's so cruel, I think, so sadistic, and so scary. What is happening? It's terrifying. I think it's terrifying. You know, they're masked up, they have guns, they're not afraid to use them. It's horrifying, and it really is very reminiscent of what happened in Nazi Germany.
Guys, you think that woman's a fan of me? Right? You think she watches this show? No, this is somebody who's probably relatively apolitical, who's looking around going, what the fuck has happened to us? That's who that is.
And those two women that we spoke to said that they cut their power walk short today because they realized that one of them forgot to bring along her U.S. passport. They said,
oh my God, bro. Oh my God, bro. Jesus Christ. So this is crazy. Listen to this. This is from an ABC News article. They say thousands of people have been arrested during ICE operations in Minnesota over the past 2 weeks. Multiple attorneys allege that for some of those detained, including at least one U.S. citizen, DHS is denying their constitutional right to see an attorney. And this is from the article. One ICE agent said, if we let you see your clients, we would have to let all the attorneys see their clients. And imagine the chaos, said another attorney who asked not to be named. And I said to that person, yeah, you do have to let all the attorneys see their clients. You do have to accommodate that. That's the Constitution. You chose to put them here. I didn't bring this guy here. You did. So now you have fucking ICE Gestapo thugs don't know the most basic shit about the way this country works. They would fail a fucking middle school civics class. That's what we're learning. They're like, can you believe I gotta let this guy see an attorney? What? Like, yeah, asshole. Everybody knows that. Oh my God. Oh my God. Look at this. This is from Status Coup. Shout out to Status Coup. Everybody go subscribe to their channel. They're doing a bunch of amazing on-the-ground reporting over there. You don't want to miss a second of it. But listen to this. ICE caught red-handed, flat-out lying about somebody assaulting them when they're the ones that assaulted the citizen first. Here we go.
Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup. Delighted to be joined by Lalo Rios Meza. DHS claims they arrested you because you hit the officer. Mm-hmm. Here is the first video I want to show of you supposedly hitting an officer.
Knowing people hate you. You know people hate you.
Look at that.
Get back! Get back! Get back! Get back! Yes, sir. Get back! Don't touch me! Don't touch me! Don't touch me! Get back! Don't touch me!
Hey! He clearly gets assaulted by the ICE goon. Clearly. All right, how about this one? If this doesn't sum up perfectly the state of the country right now, look at this. So you have a totally peaceful protester in a goofy outfit, and watch what happens. The fact that anybody bothers to argue and say like, no, these ICE thugs are not looking for trouble. They're not fascists. They're not goons. They're not thugs. They're not criminals. They're not looking for trouble. Well, what the fuck is this? Right? The textbook definition of a peaceful protester, being silly with it too and wearing like a fucking fox mask or some shit. And you guys come in and tackle them. What is this? They're trying to hit their quota. They're trying to hit their quota of arrests because they get more money. They get better benefits. They get rewards if they do that. Then we got to talk about this. So there's this guy by the name of Jake Lang, and he was a January 6ther. He's a criminal, and he's a Nazi, okay? And he planned in Minnesota to burn a bunch of Qurans at a government building, I believe. So just to set the table for you, this is who this guy is. Ready? Listen to this. Right-wing agitator. Right-wing criminal agitator.
Honestly, if I catch a Muslim that's coming at me and blow his head off outside my home and I get it on video, it'll be the most viral video of all time. Jake Lang blows the head off of a Muslim trying to jihad him. Watched it in slow motion 4K from a Ring doorbell. Pretty cool. So, you know, I mean, hey.
Don't threaten you with a good time.
Don't threaten me with a good time, yeah. If I get the opportunity to slay one of these disgusting animals that's trying to threaten me and my country and my family, don't threaten me with a good time, right? I mean,
openly discussing murdering Muslims, laughing about it, having a good time. Here's another example of who this guy is. This one's from a week or two ago. Watch this.
You whatever a Nazi isn't, then I'm a Nazi, bitch.
Shut the fuck up.
If you whatever a Nazi isn't, then I'm a Nazi, bitch.
Shut the fuck up.
There you go, proudly proclaiming that he's a Nazi. Well, this man decided to do a little thing called fucking around and finding out. Look what happened.
Jake, you thought it was a good idea, didn't you? Jake, you thought this was a good idea, didn't you?
So how did his little Quran burning exercise go? I don't know, because it appears like there's this massive crowd of protesters, and he got caught up in all of that. That appears to be what happened. How about this? You ready for a twist of irony? Ryan Allen points out Jake Lang and his crew showed up in Minneapolis trying to march into a Somali neighborhood, screaming that natural-born citizens should be deported to preserve the white race. So really letting that Nazi freak flag fly, isn't he? Talking about blowing Muslims' heads clear off their shoulder by shooting them in the face on video, talking about doing a Nazi salute and saying he's a Nazi, saying that we should deport American citizens to preserve the white race, goes around doing all of that, literally begging and pleading to get his motherfucking ass beat. That's what he's doing. He's begging and pleading to get his motherfucking ass beat, right? Well, guess what? Maybe he bit off a little more than he can chew, and so he got this giant crowd of protesters that shows up, and you ready for the irony of this? You know who ends up saving him from the crowd? A black man. So it was a black man who protected him from an angry mob. Now, by the way, I just want to set the table for you as to who this guy is. You already know some of it. Here he is on January 6th, assaulting officers. You can see him there. On January 6th, you see all these cops trying to block this entrance. He climbs up on top of their shields, and he punches in the face one of the officers. So he's one of the vile, wretched, repulsive, disgusting, fascist cretins who assaulted law enforcement on January 6th. That's who this man is. And you have these right-wing assholes who are trying to pretend like he's some big victim. Tommy Robinson says, independent journalist Jake Lang, who spent years in jail as a January 6th political prisoner. No, a political prisoner is fucking James Comey. That's who a political prisoner is. Letitia James. Okay? Today he was almost lynched in Minneapolis and not one police officer in sight. Disgraceful scenes coming out of the state of Minnesota of late. So not only was he saved by a black person, which none of these people will acknowledge on the right because they're disgusting liars, but also, and we don't need to play the whole video here, but Not only was neo-Nazi Jake Lang protected by a black man, but he was also picked up by a trans woman. He's only alive thanks to the kindness of the very people he seeks to destroy. So he's running away from the mob of people, and there's a car. He opens the door and he like begs to get in. There's two people in the car, and they let him in, right? They didn't know who he was. They just thought, in their thought process, they thought, there's got to be ICE is coming after one of the protesters. So we want to protect this person from ICE. So they go, sure, come in. And then, like they start almost hitting the car. So it's a very tense situation. And then they pull out and they end up saving this guy, Jake Lang. So he was protected by a black man and also protected by who wound up being in the car. One of the people was a trans woman. Okay. So just amazing the way in which, the universe came together to yet again, in such a clear cut and cosmic way, debunk Nazism and white supremacy and right-wing bullshit. Saved by a black man and a trans woman. And I'm sure he's going to wake up tomorrow and go right back to hating all of those groups and trying to make their lives a living hell. Why? Because he's a criminal, fascist, Nazi piece of shit. That's what he is. But that's what's going on the ground there now. It is out of control, bro. And it's out of control directly because of the ICE Gestapo thugs, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.